So in business, there is such a thing as scaling too fast, right?
Yeah.
You can scale your business too fast.
Right.
And I think from a creative side, we can sometimes get overconfident and be like, ooh, I want to work with the sacred. I want to work with them, but baby, are you ready?
I was working 2 jobs and I was like, I'm missing out on opportunities. I don't feel fulfilled in the work I'm doing. I was making good money. It still didn't fulfill me. And I took that leap. I said, you know what? I'm gonna cut both of these jobs. I'm gonna try this full time and see what happens. And I was staying with my dad at the time, and I quit both jobs and didn't tell him. He asked me. He was like, how's work been? I said, I ain't been there. I ain't been there.
Why choose photography to go into when you are working for yourself? It's you and no one else. It's you, that camera, and there's nobody to save you.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to go into photography as a business when there's no safety net? Welcome to this week's episode of Influence to Equity. Today I have a very special guest. I think I have found myself poaching Tillman's guests onto my podcast. I am so excited to have award-winning photographer and filmmaker Adrian Javon. Welcome to the episode.
I appreciate you having me.
I can't lie. I shouldn't have laughed as hard as I did, but my favorite line from when you did Tillman's The Disciplined Man episode is when he asked you, so where do you see yourself in 60 years?
That was so real. I was like, hey, I'm of age where, 60 years from now, I don't know. Can't say where I'm gonna be, bro.
Your response was with him. And I almost fell out. And in that conversation, one of the things that I want to focus on is how did you decide to go into photography? And actually, let's talk about who are you, where are you from, and how did you get to this particular place in your life?
So I'm Adrian Javon Martin. I am a son. I'm a brother. I'm an uncle. Proud uncle of like 15.
Damn.
I could be exaggerated, but it's close. It's close. Yeah, I'm a artist. I'm a photographer, filmmaker. I am a music artist. I love to write songs. I am a empathetic human being. I love people. I love connection. I love creating, most of all. And I think, I know that's why I'm here on this earth to create, to inspire, to just show people a piece of my mind, whatever that looks like.
Walk me through how you landed on photography, because I can't see like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't envision like that.
Yeah.
And I'm always fascinated by the journey as to how, what was the discovery phase for when you realized, one, not only am I passionate about this, but I'm really effing good at this thing.
You know what's interesting? So when I was a kid, when I had to be like 4 or 5 years old, I would walk around with like photos of myself or photos of my siblings. Because my mom and dad, they used to have obviously like the little small Polaroids, and I guess I was just infatuated with them. Like I have photos of me holding photos and just like staring at them. So I guess I've always been a little infatuated. And I think it's more so like the scientific aspect of it in regards to like, being a kid. It's like, how am I standing here but my face is right here on this piece of paper?
Yeah.
I think it was that kind of thing. But also my granddad, he was a photographer, still is. He's in his close to his 90s. Wow. He has his dark room, has his cameras and lighting set up. He gave me some of his older equipment recently. So I believe he may have also I know he's impacted, my love for it as well. But yeah, I guess, I don't know, ever since I was young, I always had an infatuation with cameras and photos specifically. And then I also remember my dad having one of those big old, like VHS cameras.
Look like a microwave on your chest, on your shoulder.
So I would actually shoot like our home videos too, and I wish we still had them, but they burned down in this accident. So all that is like gone, unfortunately. But I would literally be like 7 years old, 7, 8 years old, holding this, big old cassette camera, just filming everybody.
It's interesting to hear you say that because my son, Jeremiah, he's always been that way. He's, yeah, it never even occurred to me until this conversation. He's always been that way.
That's
3,
dope.
4 years old, always with a camera in his hand,
That's dope.
whether it's my phone, his iPad. He recently, I showed him the app, CapCut, and I asked him if he wanted me to help him, like, learn and teach him, because that's what I do. And he was like, no, like, you all in the 1900s, like, you don't know how to do it right. He said,
he said, let me show you how to do it.
No, and the stuff that he's doing is so, he taught himself over the summer, and it's so dope. And this isn't even the direction I intended on the conversation to go, but what do you believe were some of the things that your family did, your grandfather, your dad did to help you hone on those skills that they could see early? Because even as someone who can't see photography in that way or creativity in that way, how can I help him as a parent really cultivate that?
Right. It's crazy. I don't think that anybody realized that I had a love for it just yet, or that I had an infatuation with it just yet. Probably wasn't until I hit like 9th, 10th grade. My sister, she had bought me like a digital camera. This is like MySpace days.
Yep.
You feel me? MySpace days was like a little Kodak camera where I could I could take the photo and put it on top of the printer or print out automatically.
Yep.
So I remember having those. And then once I hit, I want to say like 11th grade, I went to Hamilton High School and I took an actual photography class, but still not thinking like, oh, I'm about to do this because I really love it or I want to, make some money off of it eventually. I just thought about, taking the class, took it, and they're like, oh, you need a black and white film camera. I'm like, shit, where am I gonna get that from? So my dad, he actually invested in that camera, got it for me, and from there it was like sky's the limit. From there, I just kept on. I pretty much utilized the camera to every capability I had. And from there, I started like doing photo shoots at school with some of the students that were in like music or like dancers. And from there, I would make like money, during lunchtime. It'd be like $10-$20. I would do like photo shoots for like the popular, kids that were into music. And yeah, it just, from there, just took off, So I felt like from there, I knew I loved it, but still didn't really have in my mind like, okay, I want to do this for forever. I want to, years to come, I want to still be doing this. I just knew that I enjoyed it, And the thing, it's crazy when you mentioned that about your son and like CapCut. I think about how we were during like MySpace days, being like, especially like we were too young to be on it, but understood coding.
Yeah.
So, and some of our, older siblings or anybody probably didn't understand how to code or how to create their page. Like, yeah. So it's funny how that generation, the younger generation now, is kind of like showing us up.
Right. This fool said the 1900s. I almost, yeah, man, I'm gonna get fired and canceled if I say what I want to say. I was so mad in the 1900s.
1900s is crazy.
You made a really great point about you were naturally entrepreneurial then. If you were already taking money in high school.
Yeah.
And especially there's been a lot going on with Black entrepreneurs, Black founders right now. And there's something to be said, like to me, and it might be controversial. There are people who have hobbies. There are people who are business owners that are, founders.
Yeah.
And then you have entrepreneurs.
Right.
And they're not necessarily the same thing. Why choose photography to go into? Because you are an entrepreneur. When you are working for yourself, it's you and no one else. It's you, that camera, and there's nobody to save you.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to go into photography as a business when there's no safety net?
That's a great question. I feel like I went into photography because it allowed me to be creative. It allowed me to open my mind, allowed me to share ideas, And it really, I don't know. I honestly don't know why. Maybe I was just in it for the thrill, because it was also a moment where I was working two jobs. I was doing USPS, and I was doing Amazon, or was it like Toys R Us or something crazy, like right out of high school type thing. And I was like, I'm missing out on opportunities. I'm missing out on. I don't feel fulfilled in the work I'm doing.
Yeah.
I was making good money, more, obviously more than what I would for photography, like at least starting up, and it still didn't fulfill me. And maybe luckily I was younger, looking for something that will fulfill me, a job that will fulfill me, or any type of work that actually fulfills me. And I took that leap. I said, you know what, I'm gonna cut both of these jobs. I'm gonna try this full time and see what happens. And I was staying with my dad at the time, and I quit both jobs and didn't tell him. But I was from there, I was booking other things to where I could still pay for whatever I could pay for. And I remember one month he asked me, he was like, how's work been? I said, I ain't been there. I ain't been there. I've been doing what I love, So, and he was like, well, damn, like,
Okay.
cool, like, it just, continue to support from there. But I just felt like the work that I was doing was just blocking me from other opportunities, But once I sacrificed those two jobs, and it wasn't easy at all. I don't want to make it seem like I just did it and everything was easy. Like, it definitely was tough, but I knew what I wanted and I put in the work, So everything else fell into place from there.
So how old were you when you decided to go full time?
I was 20. I want to say like 24, maybe. Probably like 24. It's been a while now.
So I run into entrepreneurs often who want to teeter the fence of whether or not that photography or creativity in general should become a business for them, or if they should jump. And one of the things that I always say is you have to build the plane as you're flying.
Yeah.
There's no roadmap
Right.
for entrepreneurship. You can try.
Yeah.
But everyone's journey is so different and our experiences are so different that obviously I'm never going to be like, oh, quit your job and just go into entrepreneurship. That would be career suicide and just life. Like, if you enjoy suffering, go do that.
Right.
But I don't recommend it. Like, keep your job.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about the level of sacrifice it requires to go full time into something that you love when you're unsure if it's ever going to work.
Right.
Were there moments where you thought, oh shit, this may not work?
There were plenty of moments where I thought that it wouldn't work. So many moments. And I feel like obviously I did it and I wasn't necessarily prepared to, but I'm glad I did it that way because I still learned so much. But yeah, there were plenty of moments where I was like, okay, maybe I should go back to work, or maybe I should put this to the side. But every time I had that thought, something else like reminded me, like, nah, keep going. Like, here's this opportunity, or here's this, connection. Keep going, and I feel like maybe I was able to use my discernment in a different way. But there was countless times where I was
Do you
like,
mind sharing? Do you mind sharing one where you're like,
I think just as simple as like not knowing if you're gonna be able to pay your rent, and especially if you're staying by yourself, and there's no one to you don't have a backbone in that moment, and rent's coming up, and you on top of rent you got other bills, my car is down, like there's no Uber, it's no it's no other form of transportation. Like, just those moments, it made me think like, okay, well, what should I do? Or what's going on? Like, I remember when my dad had moved right before he moved to New Orleans. I was obviously staying with him out here for a while, and then he's like, hey, I'm about to, if you're not going, you got it's you gotta go back on your own. And in that moment I'm like, damn, I should never quit them jobs.
right
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it still all worked out.
Oh, Jesus be offense. What in your experience, what advice would you give to an aspiring photographer or filmmaker that, because here's the truth. So we're in a studio. This is 10 years into my career. It's just now where like I have a studio partner. It's just now where things are monetizing, especially from the podcast space. It's like we're years into our craft.
Yeah.
Before we start to feel like really comfortable. This is an entire production house. Actually, it's 4 buildings, but it's like,
Damn, 4?
Yeah, there's 4 buildings.
Lit.
Yeah, they're really, really dope.
So,
But that's not necessarily accessible to someone or relatable to someone who's listening.
yeah.
What advice would you give them when they're just starting their career as a creative?
As a creative, I would say if they're looking to obviously, hone in at one thing or multiple things, and work for themselves as an entrepreneur, I would say, one, do the research and learn as much as you can in regards to what business it is. That way you're not going into things blindly. I would also say to learn and hone in on your craft, learn as much information and attain as much knowledge as you can in regards to whatever that is. That way you're able to, one, teach it to whoever else may be able to come on as a helping hand. So you're not doing everything by yourself, obviously.
Yeah.
As well as communication in regards to learning how to connect and network with other like-minded individuals that are in the same field, or that are in the same field, and just attain all that knowledge. That way when opportunities come, you know how to maneuver, you know how to move around, and you know how to communicate and make the deals, make make everything make sense.
Yeah. I think a lot about, and I have this conversation a lot with whether someone's a startup founder or my billionaire friends, the conversation around networking or deal flow. And I don't think I've ever pitched a single like deal flow from the investment side. It's always been inbound. And when people ask me, how do I get into the rooms? How am I having these conversations? How am I getting access to the education and the mentors?
Yeah.
The reality of it is it's all networking. And sometimes we think that we need to network up.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about networking laterally.
Right.
And networking with niche adjacent.
Yeah.
So I'm not a photographer. I'm a creative. I'm a podcast host. I work in TV, but I'm not a photographer and videographer or a filmmaker. So if I'm looking to advance my career, it's also important for me to be educated in the niches or the subject matters that are near me and around me.
Yeah.
Most people don't know how to do that. What's some advice or recommendations that you would give to people? If you're a creative, you're not going to survive this industry if you don't know how to network and how to communicate and talk.
Yeah.
What do you think are some applicable tips that people can use?
That's good, because it actually took me a while to learn how to network and actually like communicate with people, because sometimes I could be in rooms and be an introvert and not want to actually like indulge. Well, not that I don't want to indulge in conversation, but it will be a little more complicated for me.
Yeah.
And maybe that was just something deeper that was going on. But I think that, it's important, because one, you never know who you're in the room with. You never know who's around, and one simple conversation and organic, intentional conversation, not just like, oh, what's up, Sarah? I know you do such and such. I do this. Call me.
Yeah.
Like that's never gonna be.
I get it all the time.
That's never gonna be the case. That helps the
Crazy.
situation. They're just gonna look at you as somebody that's trying to get on because of who you are. And I think that just having intentional conversations, actually wanting to also support whoever it is that you're looking for to meet. My homie Romel actually told me that in order to start a great conversation with someone you want to network with, let them know how you can support them.
Correct.
Versus, what could you do for me? Or I know you have this upper hand, here, take my card and help me, versus like, actually showing like, no, I do this type of work. However I can help support you, please let me know. That way we could both grow together, So having that in mind, I feel like also help, other ways for me to network with different people too.
I couldn't agree more. My DMs and emails are filled with people saying, hey, can you help me with, will you support me with, can you invest in, with zero regard as to how that would be mutually beneficial for me. And how you can support and add value to me. And so the one advice that we would give to you that are listening is find the gaps that someone that you want to talk to, network with, that you want to collaborate with, find the gap, find the areas in which you can either support them or add value to them. And that's the easiest and best way to do it.
Right.
But from an intentional standpoint, not from you're trying to use me standpoint.
Exactly.
Because also we live in LA, so it's crazy out here.
Right.
In these LA streets.
For real.
Which leads me to my next question. How did you then go from still photography to like moving? Because that's very like to movies and filmmaking. It's very different.
Very different. I feel like that transition was unexpected for me because I was working with a few different artists doing photography, and I saw the importance in video, but I didn't necessarily understand what that transition would be, and I also didn't have enough knowledge for that transition to be like, okay, I'm gonna just start doing video now. But one of my brothers had actually gave me a camera that did both video and photography. So in a way, I started to get some practice unknowingly. And then I remember one is like a music executive. He's like, eventually you're gonna start doing video. I'm like, nah.
Not me.
I said, nah. Like I don't have it in me. I can't see it, you know. And then, literally a few months later, I just started transitioning into video. And from there, I want to say I was like right out of high school. I was using the same camera that my brother gave me, and me and my homies, we would like smoke and just write down, just random, but write down different like short film concepts, and just put it on YouTube. And from there, it gained like a little, like a short cult following audience, which was weird because it was crazy. Like, well, damn, we just having fun type thing.
Yeah.
And it would be like on some like Twilight Zone, short horror film type thing. It would be like a minute. So in a way, I feel like we were kind of ahead of the curve, but not necessarily seeing where, like social media and like YouTube will go in the future. So now everything is short form, content. But we were just doing it to have fun. So from there, I had got my experience in editing. I had got my experience in composition and shooting and lighting and just editing. And after that, from there, once more video opportunities came, I was like, oh yeah, I could do it. I got this in the bag, So yeah, everything, I feel like everything just fell into place how it was supposed to, So I honestly prefer now video over photography.
Really?
Yeah. I think I only say that now because I'm able to really tell a story. I love being able to tell a story with photography, obviously, but to be able to tell a full out story and really show what's on my mind visually or help someone else, visually, it's like it's just a reward, It's like the reward that keeps on giving.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about this is definitely the place to not be humble here. Like, I want you to brag about the clients that you have worked with, currently work with, and which project was your favorite to work on so far? This is where you talk your shit.
Okay.
Who have you worked with, and then favorite project?
Bet. So I've worked with Beyonce. I've worked with Jhene, Aiko. I've worked with Miss Tina Knowles. I've worked with oof,
Do not be
I'm
humble. Do
like,
not be
why? I
demure.
worked with Janelle Monáe, Zendaya. I've worked with Trevor Jackson. I think that's a good
That's a great
that's a
list.
good list.
What's your favorite project been so far?
My favorite project so far recently has been I was able to go on 3 tour dates with Jhene Aiko, and that's one of my favorite artists.
Love her.
And I I've worked with her sister. We have like a close relationship. I've known her since like 2013. Um, and yeah, I guess the experience when you're around someone that has impacted your life musically, you have a different type of respect for them
Yeah.
and admiration. Um, and I've always wanted to work with her in some type of capacity,
Mhm.
to also show that admiration, and for that to happen recently was like, damn, that
That's
happened.
cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's
that's
crazy.
dope.
Um, and then doing this sacred campaign for Beyonce and Miss Tina Knowles has been a complete blessing. I feel like I'm I feel like when your work is validated
Hmm.
in a different type of way,
Yeah.
it gives you so much more confidence in what you're creating, and it gives you that 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 stamp,
Yeah.
of like, damn, no, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. People higher than me in higher places see what I'm doing and respect it and want it for their work, and that just gives me a different level of one, respect for them, but also like respect for myself, and knowing what I can do, what I'm capable of. So yeah, it just makes me believe even more in myself, and know that the sky's the limit. So there's no limits actually.
There are none.
There's no limits at all.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to say something slightly controversial,
mm,
and know my heart when I say this.
yeah, yeah.
I run into a lot of creatives who are like, how come I'm not where Sara is? Or how
Mm,
come I'm not where Jhene is? Or how
mm,
come I'm not where Adrian is?
mm,
Or how come I'm a good photographer? Why? Like, I'm a great photographer. And then I see their body of work and it's not that good.
mm, mm.
At which point did you know I'm there and
uh-huh.
I'm ready? So in business, there is such a thing as scaling too fast, right?
Yeah,
You can scale your business too fast.
right.
And I think from a creative side, we can sometimes get overconfident and be like, ooh, I want to work with the sacred.
Mm,
I want to work with them. But
mm,
baby, are you ready?
yeah,
Is your
yeah,
work up to the level of what their expectations are?
right.
At what point did you have the confidence to be like, oh yeah, I'm ready?
Mm.
And when that door is open for me, it's all mine.
Ooh, I feel like there are different moments. There are different moments. I feel like the one of the very first moments where I realized I was ready. Someone was looking for this is like early Twitter days. Someone was looking for a photographer for Hitmaker, who used to be Young Bird, but he's
Mm-hmm.
like one of the biggest producers now. And everybody's tagging their names like, oh no, pick me type
Yep.
thing. And somebody tagged me, and I didn't even like respond to it, but I saw the thread, and Tiffany, shout out Tiffany, who was his manager at the time, saw my name, clicked it, and told me to send in some work. I'm like, oh, okay, bet.
Oh, shoot.
Like, let me forward you some work. And from there, she, had me come in and do different sessions for different artists,
Mm.
um, which, opened up other doors for me at that time. So that moment kind of gave me a different understanding. Like, okay, I really got something. I know I got something, but someone in the industry wants to work with me now.
Mm-hmm.
So that opened the door, and then I had did Miss Tina's. The first time I met Miss Tina was like 2018, 2019. I did her surprise party. And this is like one of the first times I'm actually like working with her. And literally everybody from Hollywood was there, like crazy. And that was like one of the first times where I met Beyonce as well. Um, and it was like I don't know. It was a moment where I could have been starstruck, but I knew what the plan of action was to capture and make this a beautiful video that she'll remember. And after the shoot, I had got home, gave her like the quickest turnaround I ever gave anybody. Like she had the video before she went to sleep type thing.
Yeah, that's great.
And she loved it. She loved it. She had like a few changes, but from there she loved it. And then from there, she continued to hire me for different things.
Wow.
Still to this day, you know. So that also gave me like, okay, I have something, you know, I got something special. And then just to hear the different just the different like admiration that different clients show in regards to whatever it is that I provided for them, and to hear it from the heart. You know, I feel like when it's from the heart and when it's like they're truly showing their appreciation and how whatever was captured or how special it is to them, that's a different type of like gift, you know. So I'm like, the currency, all that is cool, but when it's from the heart, for me, when it's from the heart, it's like, okay, like thank you. Like I feel, you know, I feel great about what I'm doing.
On the flip side, I meet photographers, videographers, creatives who are incredibly talented and lack the confidence to pursue places and conversations and seats that they should be taking up and space that they should take up, and they just refuse to because they don't have the confidence. And there's a photographer in particular, damn, I really shouldn't say that, that would be mean. There's a photographer in particular that I'm thinking of right now that's based in North Carolina, probably one of the most talented kids I've ever seen. Kid's like 24. Actually, he's 24.
That's crazy.
What advice would you give him when you are so, like, the raw talent and the gift is unbelievable, and you have somebody from across the country who's in the creative space telling you, like, you are truly talented? What advice would you give to that person who wants to work with a Beyonce, who aspires to work with a Miss Tina Knowles, who aspires to work with the celebrities and the dream clients that they have, but they just lack the confidence to take up space?
I've been there before, as far as like not having the confidence in certain moments of my life, and sometimes I still you know deal with it. You know? I think when you have imposter syndrome, that could be it could really affect, you know, who you are, you know, and what you're doing and what you want to pursue. I would tell them, you know, I would tell that person to go within and truly see what it is that you're capable of creating. Remember how impactful it is, you know, what the reaction is when people see or view your work, and really believe in it, you know, believe in your work so you can believe in yourself, or believe in yourself so you can believe in your work. And just try your best to take every step forward to move, you know, accordingly, because if and when you don't have confidence in yourself, people aren't going to see it, you know, to believe it. You know, sometimes you have to walk in that confidence, no matter how hard or, you know, how weird it may feel if you're not used to it. But the more you do it, the more you step into yourself, then the more, you know, the world will open up to you, the more other opportunities will come to you, you know, but you have to meet yourself there before anybody else can.
Adrian, thank you so much for coming on the episode.
Thank you.
Where can the people find you?
If you want to find me, you could find me on Instagram, Twitter. I am Adrian Javon, as well as my business Instagram, Adrian J Photo.
Go book him, but not too many of y'all, because I need space for me. I need to be able to, you know, get on the calendar, but go and book him now.
Hey, hit me.
And of course, with the magic of television, we had to have Beyonce Sir Davis here in the studio. We're going to give it a try. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Let's see. Oh,
okay.
That's nice.
That's nice.
That's nice.
I like that.
I'm typically critical of Beyonce's products, but this is nice.
It's smooth. That's one of those, like, if you you think it's like not strong, but if you keep
you keep drinking it, you're gonna be
like, all right. Be lit. Yeah, I like that.
It's gonna be a different kind of episode if we don't stop drinking it.
Right.
Thank you so much for listening, and tune in next week for another episode of Influence to Equity.